I'm here with my partner Mal. What's going on, Mal?
Hey, Pio. Been seeing a lot of you lately.
Uh-huh. And our special guest this afternoon, Mr. Alex Sasha Novosad, partner at Stacks Accelerator, former CEO of an eSports franchise, Silicon Valley veteran, South Korea veteran, all around cool guy. What's going on, Sasha?
Yeah. Um, yeah. I thank you. Great to be here with you. I don't know if these titles or whatever are like the best way to intro into like an NFT podcast. They make me sound like this some corporate shell or something. But yeah, it's great to be here. I am relatively new to crypto space. Actually, very much enjoying it. I still have this perhaps fresh perspective of somebody who's relatively new, but I've dove in super hard in NFTs in the last month and a half. Harder than most people. I don't like. I don't know. My 401k disappeared all of a sudden, and now I own more art pieces of kitties and whatnot. So yeah,
It's funny
it's
how
great to
that
be here.
happens. So what kind of introduced you to NFTs and what's been your involvement in the NFT space? Is it just as a collector or, are you trying to get involved at a deeper way? Can you give people some context on that?
Man, hard to eat everything. There is just so much about the space that talks to me, right? So I am ADHD, as many other people, and the whole combination of new information, an avalanche of new things happening every day, to opportunities, personal, to collect art, to discover new ways of business, make some money on the side, maybe to I guess I can buy more art. All of that is very appealing, and I also want to understand better the community is great too. So making new connections, making new friends. I feel like this is like the happening place right now, right? So, like you mentioned Silicon Valley. So like if I could be in Silicon Valley in the '90s or late '90s, especially, like that was the place to be. There's all these places around the world and the communities around certain periods of time where you want to really be at. And in crypto, I think, there were sort of DeFi places you wanted to be a year ago in, and there still are, but this is currently the newest, the most interesting. And I like art, so to me, this is most relatable. NFTs, I think I was just talking to somebody yesterday, I think, about it. It's like people really misunderstand NFTs. And yeah, they provide some cool utility today, and bigger than JPEGs and whatnot. But what NFTs are, they're the fundamental layer of the metaverse that we're all going towards. You cannot have Ready Player One without NFTs. You cannot be a citizen in a metaverse if you don't truly own your things that nobody can take away from you, that define you as a person and give you rights and sort of status and opportunities and whatnot. And so there cannot be a centralized issuance system. Like imagine you have a Ready Player One type of universe, but then the issuance of everything you own comes from Epic or whatever central place, right? It's like skins work today in video games. And that means also you basically licensing them. So you don't really own them. They can take it away from you. They can delete your account. The company itself can go bankrupt or be bought by somebody, and then things can change. You can't feel as a citizen. It's like living in a democracy where everything is owned by a private corporation and anything can change in a second, right? Like, how would you feel in that space? You will never feel like a citizen. You feel like property or a renter. So as the world moves towards a metaverse more and more, many metaverses maybe, but some sort of idea of us spending more and more time in that, this is a fundamental layer. And that's, I think, while people understand NFTs are big, they're missing out that they're not just big, they're just inevitable and impossible to progress without.
Absolutely. And there were two things that you said there that I think really stand out. And, the first one is just that like people don't really grasp NFTs. Everything that you said, I totally agree with. The way that I try to simplify it is I just think of like NFTs as blockchain, right? So like concert tickets, for example, are going to
Yeah.
be NFTs, but the person buying that concert ticket, they're not like, I'm buying an NFT. They're like, I'm buying this concert ticket to go see Justin Bieber or whatever, right? But it's an NFT because the blockchain technology is just better. So people have been calling NFTs Web 3.0, and I understand that. I understand why, but I'm almost like, I feel like it's Internet 2.0, because I get that Web 2.0 was like a really big deal. I totally understand that. But to me, this feels like as big of a deal as like the internet when it first came. Like when you look at pre-internet versus post-internet, that's like a pretty stark contrast. And when you look at pre-blockchain versus post-blockchain, that's like a really stark contrast. And obviously, I know social media, mobile is incredibly important, but the sort of impact that blockchain is going to have, from money to accounting to event ticketing to actually making things on the internet permanent for the first time, like truly permanent and decentralized. There is a lot with NFTs to digest, you know?
It's all very true. And take it further. Tickets to concerts are cool, but I'm thinking your car registration, your house deed, eventually a birth certificate, and your passport. Well, you will have the physical ones, but you will also have it as NFTs. There is, it's a great way to certify ownership and tie an identity to an issuance of something. So it's very efficient. It's much easier to share than, you know, like how, like even when somebody asks you, an insurance company or something, hey, send us a picture of your driver's license. It's like, you know, it's a picture. You could have photoshopped it. But if somebody says, hey, connect your wallet and send us your driver's license, they know it's yours unless you hacked into the wallet. So the major thing that blockchain brought to bringing to the world is cryptography, right? And that's the main fundamental pillar of decentralization and the whole blockchain ecosystem. And we're not going to go into it because this is an NFT podcast, but let's hope that pillar remains and that some of the existing blockchains improve their cryptography, because there are still some of them that are using a little bit outdated cryptography from 10 years ago. But as long as that remains unbroken or keeps, you know, getting improved, you can build so much on that. It's just, yeah, it's hard to even like imagine what the world's going to be. But you're right in the sense, I think it'll become more of a layer. Like it'll become like a transparent layer that we don't think of like, oh, it's an NFT. It's just like NFTs is a way through which you get the ticket or whatever, it's the form, but it's going to be so of course kind of thing. Like I want to buy a piece of art from my friend. She's a great artist, and I've been trying to get her to come to this, you know, NFT space. And she doesn't quite understand it, so she thinks I'm just, you know, it's just whatever thing. And eventually, by the way, I sent her like a screenshot of how much the ghost, you know, the painter the kid who went started selling it and now sells millions of dollars worth. And I sent her like the screenshot of his like activity. And I said, this is what he's selling 2 months after coming to the marketplace. And she said, why didn't you just start with that? It's like, okay, we were talking Monday. And but anyway, so as I wanted to buy her painting, originally I wanted just to buy it physical. She does physical paintings. But now I told her, I still want to buy you a painting, but unless you turn it into NFT, I'm not interested, because it loses value for me automatically. I have shareability issues. Once I buy it from you, it's going to be hard for me to then, I can't mint it. If I mint it, then you didn't mint it. Then it's not, I can't prove it's from you. And that's when it really said to me that NFTs will never go away. They're the fundamental layer, because I can no longer want to buy things in real world, so to speak, without NFT representation, at least some things. And once you get into this, it just becomes so obvious and clear to you that everybody outside, they think you're insane. To you, it's like, no, you guys are insane. Like you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. We've talked about it a lot. Like once you see it, it becomes self-evident. And I think like the art is where we're starting. But when you think about the example I like to use is Rolex, right? Like I'm shocked that Rolex hasn't, and they probably already are, and they're probably making their own blockchain and doing something proprietary. But if I'm going to spend 30, 50 grand on a watch, and I want, you know, having the NFT in my wallet and being like, no, this is real, like it's an ultimate flex. And if I want to sell that watch in the future, because oftentimes people still use Rolexes as a store of value, because Rolexes historically have gone up, it becomes much easier to eliminate fraudulent, fake Rolexes, etc. Right? Like if you know that Rolex issued this NFT with this serial number and it matches this watch with this serial number, now you can say, okay, like I don't need to go spend a bunch of money to have it authenticated. I can tell based on the issuer of that NFT. And then you think about all the other things, Louis Vuitton. I know that's been a common example. Any luxury or semi-luxury good now automatically has that with it. So like, it's not just art, it's not just profile pictures, but yeah. And then you think about everything from, I mean, hell, the vaccines to birth certificates.
True. Yeah. When I got
everything.
vaccinated, if they could just put something in my wallet that said you got vaccinated, like then you don't need the ID cards or the vaccine passwords per se. It's so much easier, right, to verify. I mean, we have all this stuff, right? When you go to a doctor when you were a kid and you got vaccinated, you have your medical records. It's just it's all easy to fake. It's easy to lose. Yeah, we have the technology has progressed enough to where the only thing you should never lose is your recovery phrase. Because then you're really screwed.
Then you're in trouble. Yeah, then you're in trouble. But we're just talking about NFTs as a token of authenticity, which is like the most basic, kind of use case for them. But it's so important. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And if we even want to just look at art, right? It's so much more than art, and people are only thinking about NFTs as art because these mainstream media headlines are like JPEG image sells for 69 million, blah blah blah. But when you look at art itself, my mom has a Mario Schifano painting. He's a postmodern Italian painter, very like important in history. And the token of authenticity for that is a Polaroid picture of the painting that Mario Schifano signed, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. That is pretty cool.
Sure.
But that's not the same thing as, a digital token of authenticity that can't be forged and, lives online forever. And one of the things, Sasha, that you said like that you feel like that this space is the hottest space right now, like Silicon Valley in the late 90s. And I'm sure there's more, old Hollywood or whatever. There's all these different examples. And I think that the reason the space is the hottest space right now is because it's a space that combines the most modern technology, pretty much like the most modern, like scaled global technology, combines things like money, through cryptocurrency. It combines, a counterculture like protest with, Bitcoin being outside the banking system. It combines art, which is always going to be culturally incredibly relevant, collectibles, which people absolutely love, and the list just goes on and on. So to me, it's a no-brainer that right now this is the hottest space.
It also like what it means to own property, like what property really is, and like you said, the authenticity mechanism is so much more than identifying in a sense that this something is authentic. It's tying you, and there's nothing more powerful in the concept of society outside of just love and living, but in terms of like how we interact than the concept of property. A society where property doesn't exist is I mean, some people want it, but if property gives you certain freedom, security, right? At least some property, right? We can argue to how much is too much or not, but imagine never being able to own. And the point is, like, when you talk about those kind of things, like voting rights, property, being able to breathe, being able to love, like these are super fundamental to our existence. And this is a place where we are defining that for the digital age. So, and how the whole works. And yeah, that's why it's such a hopping place.
It's interesting. There was that article that just came out where some woman just sold her love as an NFT for like 200.
Her love as an NFT.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, I think it's a cash grab. We're gonna have 90-day NFT fiance here in the near future. But it's interesting. I don't want to get provocative, but you mentioned voting, like I don't even want to touch the subject. But like, there's so many areas that you can start exploring. I want to change subject briefly and kind of lighten the mood and talk about video games.
Okay, I didn't know the mood was bad, but let's do it.
No, I just
Malachi, you killed the mood.
We were just a little too serious, right? Because we were talking about the serious parts of NFTs, and now we're talking about the silly parts.
The less silly.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about video games. I happen to play a few.
What was your favorite game growing up?
All of them that I actually get my hands on. Okay, my most favorite experience it was playing Doom 2 on land for the first time. And by land, I mean, I'm from a village in Ukraine where I don't know, we have like 100 houses, okay? And we were the only computer in the village. And then our neighbors, you know, I don't know, the guy I think was involved with some thugs or something, but they had money and they had the computer. And so their kid, I knew their kid. And one day I was like, yeah, why don't you like literally bring the computer to our house? And so we did. And my dad and I, we soldered together like this, parallel whatever connection. And I literally soldered wire one night, and it was like 1 kilobyte a second. And, it was a little cable you connect to computers, and we could play Doom 2 just 1v1. And so we had these little tournament brackets, which was like me, my neighbor, my dad, and my brother, right? And my dad literally let me take a week off school to just play this nonstop. I just went to the bathroom, and then I played Doom all day with whoever was around. It was epic. And
It sounds
never
like
forget that experience. And my mom was like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, he needs to go to school. And my dad is like, he's smart enough. He'll catch up. And I think he knew that there was something different. But yeah, so I played a lot of stuff, World of Warcraft in college, all the Warcraft series, and shooter games, RPGs, racing.
That's awesome. I had a similar story. Well, it's very different, but similar in certain ways, where I lived in New Mexico growing up, and we actually had, it was like AOL 3.0, but like there was like there was one of those internet cafes, and it was called Shark Bite. And so me and my buddies would go there, and it was like $5 an hour, and we'd play Doom 2 like on a LAN against 4v4, and like we would also like I had 56K, so like at home I could play 1v1 against like my friends, but then my mom will pick up the phone and ruin the phone.
Yeah.
But then I spent so much time with the WAD files and just exploring and hacking and just breaking Doom 2. It's interesting, like the generational gap with video games is so different, where it's like if you didn't start with Doom 2, you didn't realize how at that time it was so realistic and groundbreaking, where you're like, oh wow, like I can create my own levels. Like it and John Carmack are just enabling you, and like to realize like, holy crap, I can play against another human being. And then like very quickly, like Kali came out, and now you're playing Warcraft 2 against other, like it was just so interesting to just see that massive growth so quickly with those types of games. That's really cool.
We're old, man.
Yeah, we dated ourselves, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Well, a friend of mine is a really big gamer, and he was talking to me. He doesn't own any NFTs yet, but he's been watching the space. He owns Ethereum, he owns Bitcoin. So I feel like he's going to maybe dip his toes in. But what he brought to my attention as a gamer is that he said that NFTs are so well suited for video games. Like they really actually fill a void, because there hasn't been any sort of like permanence when it comes to, maybe building a character in a game or finding rare items in a game, and then actually being able to profit off of those. And so I think now what we'll probably see over the next 10 to 15 years is, I feel like being a video game player is going to become a career that's just like, a better career than being an accountant. And I don't mean at the highest level like Ninja or these other esports guys that make millions. Like I think just being like pretty good, you're going to be able to find ways to monetize and make, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 a year, where it's just going to make more sense to go that way than to go to college and try to get an accounting job or something, because you actually like what you're doing, you're really good at it, and you're able to build up these NFTs, whether it's a character, an item, a skin, this, that, or the other thing, and actually sell them or, do other things to make money, play to earn. There's so many different angles. So, you used to be in charge of an esports franchise. What are your thoughts on all that?
I'm very excited to see where this goes. What I've always wanted to see in games is for players to own property in video games. And I understand the evolution we have to go through, but I really don't like this whole idea of always licensing stuff. And so I think we'll come to a point where in a game, like if you own a piece of property in a game, a land or character or weapons, whatever, it's just yours, and the company can't just like then delete that weapon or whatever. They can't really restrict it, hopefully, too much. I think it's just you it feels so much different when it's really yours, right? Like imagine playing the Star Wars MMO that used to be around. It's really cool, and you like you could have these oil wells there and like mine oil or something, and you'll start really feeling kind of like it's a second reality more so than it's just a game, right? Because yeah, so I love this idea. I can't wait for to see how it really. It's hard to imagine how it's gonna sort of expand and evolve.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm in the same boat where like if knowing where you started with your games and kind of your progression, probably very similar to mine, where in the early days of Counter-Strike, early days of EverQuest, like we had that buddy, and you may have been one, I was not, where we would level up our characters and then sell those characters on eBay and like do all and violate terms of service and do all those types of things. And now, as my career's progressed, like I used to, when free to play came out, I will never spend money on a skin. I want to pay for the whole game and have everything, right? And then like Counter-Strike, you get those rare knives and you start doing all that type of stuff. And then so it's really interesting to see that like there were early companies like Steam that were testing like the boundaries of an economy that is self-serve. But you had a really good point, and that like for instance, shoot, I forgot what it's called, but I was playing one of the MOBAs from Blizzard. Why can't I think of it right now? But like they just abandoned.
Heroes of the Storm. Yeah.
Heroes of the Storm. And I invested a lot of time, a lot of money into Heroes of the Storm. And I had a lot of fun with it because it was different from League of Legends and Dota. But like, I'd buy these characters because like I'd been playing with these characters for 15 years, right? And like I know their backstory, I know their lore, I know everything. Like I can have Raynor fighting, like it's just so much cool stuff. But then, oh hey, we're gonna end of life this game, and it's like cool, all that money like is basically down the drain. So like one of the things I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm curious, like what's interesting about NFTs is if all the nodes that your NFTs are hosted on for IPFS like went out, hypothetically, like you just own a blockchain address. Like so there's still some permanence issues with that. But specifically around gaming, like do you think there's gonna be some independent type company that is basically like an IPFS for the T poses and stuff, where if I buy, let's say 3 big companies come out and say, okay, we're gonna embrace NFTs for all of our games. So now Epic's gonna invest $1 billion, for instance, in the metaverse. And so let's say part of that is, okay, if you buy a Marvel character on Vivi, all of a sudden you can import that into Fortnite and play it. Or you buy my kid's 6, he's never seen Deadpool, but he has a Deadpool skin. I don't even want to talk. Should he be playing Fortnite? Don't judge me. He wins. He's better than me. But
you haven't seen Deadpool is all I heard. Like that's like I forgot everything you said about. You have to see Deadpool now. I don't know, man.
He's 6. When he turns, he's a little bit older. But like the challenge, right? And this is a long.
Oh, he hasn't seen Deadpool. I thought you said you haven't seen Deadpool.
Oh, I've seen Deadpool. Yes,
okay. I was getting concerned for you. Okay.
Oh no, yes, I've seen Deadpool lots of times. But the whole diatribe is like, what would be really cool is if there is this IPFS like function. So like if I bought. And I think it's gonna be walled gardens. Like in Nintendo, you could buy a Pikachu and use it in all the Nintendo IP.
Yeah,
but you 100%. Wouldn't be able to bring it out. So I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are. And then I also want to spend a few minutes like talking about your project, which probably aligns pretty well with Bizarro's. But curious if you could wrap that up.
Yeah, I think for sure there'll be standardized probably models or files that every game, whatever software can read. We have already a lot of standards in the 3D modeling world for files. So, for textures, etc. I can totally see that where the game itself doesn't even know what your stuff looks like, it doesn't care, right? As long as it has the skeleton for animation in the right places, and like there is some standard that can we just acts on those to animate your character or display it, and yeah, assets that are transferable between everything will definitely be a thing. Imagine like the cool knife that you bought at Counter-Strike, that you can use it in a different FPS as well. Adds a lot of value. People can trade them. I think the current world of the game companies issuing scheme is going to look like antique cash grab by 5-10 years from now. It'll be really strange. Nobody will want to ever go back to it. I certainly don't want to. I mean, it's fine. It's a step in evolution, but like you said, when Heroes of Storm shut down, wouldn't you like to have all those skins you bought on characters, NFTs, at least as a token, as a memorabilia that can actually appreciate in value, and because it's gone now, but even if it doesn't, you can keep it for yourself, right? And kind of use them. So it's just a new model that is way better. Like I think software evolves, technology evolves, and we had what we had, and now we're like, wow, we can do this. And we had to get here because it takes more resources as well. Getting these decentralized networks online, it's not something we could have done 20 years ago.
Yeah, I hope it happens soon. And this kind of goes back to like the corporate control versus like the decentralized nature of these types of things. Are these companies going to try and have their walled gardens? Likely, but if there's a strong enough independent,
doesn't matter. They're gonna not survive them. It just doesn't matter anymore. Because somebody who the first people who create decentralized game that is similar in quality or fun and gameplay as the centralized game, but it also offers you this decentralization piece of it. Why would you ever? You know which one you're gonna choose. So the writing's on the wall. I'm not saying that the current gaming companies are evil or anything. I mean, some of them certainly are, but I think it's just like there's technology that's available, and now we are moving into this next stage where technology provides more rights to wider pool of people, and I think the companies will still benefit. They'll have their way. Whether it's transaction fees or whatever, they'll still be making money. So, but as a customer, as a player, you'll just have so much more agency, and I think it's kind of a win-win in a way, because I don't know. We'll see what on the corporate side, but I think there's always a way to make money. You just change your strategy. So I'm not worried about that. But I'm excited about being a gamer in that new age.
I couldn't agree more. And avoiding politics. Like if someone could create a decentralized Overwatch that essentially like you could import any character, any NFT you own, and you're not.
Is avoiding politics something somebody says right before they jump into politics? Is that the rule?
Blizzard.
If it's Malachi, for sure.
Blizzard, Activision's just.
I don't want to piss you off, but
no, yeah.
I don't want to start any controversy.
I don't want to bring up this super controversial topic, but Activision Blizzard, who I idolized growing up, is like the scumbag company.
Well, yeah, at least some people there for sure. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty. Most of the employees are great, but it has changed, and I'm disappointed too. There was one of my idols when I was growing up. Warcraft. I played every Warcraft, every Diablo, all of their games. So it's sad to see that, but we also all knew it coming once Activision bought them. So matter of time. But yeah, there's new things. Mike Morhaime is starting his own thing. Seems pretty good. It's just like this, thing that has to. I'm excited about this whole new NFT thing right now. Then what company is going to spruce up? The best Blizzard employees are going to go somewhere else. They're going to create beautiful games. So. But yeah, it's fundamentally.
Hopefully they make some NFT games.
For sure. Yeah. By the way, how long is this thing? Because we have when you have Stoner Cats to discuss, Blazing Cats, what else? Apes, Punks. I don't even know what's going on.
So we'll go as long as you want, Sasha. And here you got these topics. Why don't you drive it forward? So what do you want to talk about next? Stoner Cats, Blazer Cats, whatever. Crypto punks selling like crazy.
Bizarros.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, I'll mention. Well, so speaking of collections, so you mentioned like what I'm doing. So one of the things I'm doing is I am, me and Luke, we worked together at, we ran game stores together before, and now he's at Electronic Arts, actually at one of the companies I'm working as a game designer in, but we decided to create a collection of our own because I think punks are cool, apes are really cool. I think gutter cats are pretty cool. Like there's cool cats, you know, like there's these like authentic, awesome collections that trying to bring utility to the community, etc. And there's gonna be more of them. And then of course there's all these copycats and a lot of sort of people just doing cash grabs, right? There's literal cash grabs, like I bought into a little bit, not much, into the bots, and then the guy just disappeared, or the team. Yeah, so we're trying to do like a little. I don't know. On my screen, I can only see. Yeah, we're doing like a little collaboration with Alien Boy, because Alien Boy was the first NFT for me and Luke, and so I know Georgie, who runs Alien Boy, and I met him through Discord. And so here's in a bizarre world, you know, Bizarre meets an alien and goes like, "Oh my god, you're real," and faints. So we're trying to create something different. So in this case, so Bizarres are these 3D from day one, Unity friendly avatars, basically, but they're not just pictures. Like we're gonna have Photo Studio where you can take a picture for your profile from any angle, any camera angle, you know, lighting. It's gonna be great. But we want something that is usable in Metaverse day one, and we want to create our own mini games in Unity that you can use your characters in. So hyper focus on utility. Hyper focus is just fun. One thing that I see, like sewer cats or sewer rats, sorry, I like, because when I go in their Discord, you know, the Rat King, the creator, often is in a voice channel, you know, just talking to the community, playing with them in some way, or creating something, or sharing screen. Most collections I find don't do any of that. All they do is post an announcements channel. And it's cool that they're doing, some of them are trying to do a lot of background work, right? And accomplish things, but the actual interaction with the community is like missing. And it's kind of bizarre to me, or to us. We, you know, because the whole point of a collection, 10K collection, is to have a community. And how can you have a community that doesn't interact with each other, right? And now it's not a community, it's just a cinema, it's a theater where everybody's watching what you're trying to produce, and then they're consuming, but they're not giving back to each other, they're not interacting. I don't know if you guys been to say Burning Man. Like one of the reasons why that event is so wildly successful and has such energy to it is because one of the principles is you have to be a participant. You can't be just a consumer. So there's a big difference between going, say, to a music show, which are also great when you're just in the mood to consume, but you can go to like a you know, 3-day, 4-day music show and you can have fun consuming music. But when you go to Burning Man, it's such a participation culture that everything's inviting. You know, there are no exhibits you cannot touch. Like you're supposed to touch everything. You're supposed to be part of everything. Very different feel, and I feel that's what these 10K collections should be about. We're seeing that same with the apes. I'm not part of punks at all, so I'm not saying they're not doing that. I just don't know. But I'm in the apes Discord. I see how many of them are creating, how many of them are collaborating with each other. There's just like this energy of let's do stuff, right? And you know, they all have their own project, or they're helping each other with their projects. That is what community is. So we want to create another community like that, but using these silly 3D characters. We left like this story unwritten on purpose. I love writing. Luke loves writing, but we want to actually have discussions with the community, give them tools to actually put the backstory into this, vote on it with each other, discuss it, and like create the backstory, maybe write the book. Yeah, and you know, if whoever story pieces win and go into the permanent story, we'll share revenues with them. If you sell that in any way, if you commercialize in any way, we'll like have their wallets, right? So they'll get proportional pieces from it. As we create this bizarre world, which will be our own metaverse in the end, you should feel like an owner. It's sort of like a mini entrepreneur in all of it, and a real like participant of this. There you go. You can have one of those.
It's incredibly cool, man. I haven't seen any other project that's quite like this, and I can see the video game sort of influence. It looks like an MMORPG. Like, would that be, you know, fair to say? Just this content that I'm consuming right now, this looks to me like it would be an MMORPG kind of setup.
It's like a little higher definition Minecraft.
It's cool. I like this guy's dance moves, man. He's got some serious grooves.
We can, yeah, you know, so yeah, and like the little piece of story is like they land on this planet. Is the only story we've written is they land on this planet. They don't remember anything. They don't understand where they come from. And if you look at our trailer, one of them says something, the word bizarre, and the other one is like, oh, bizarros, like that's what we should be called. And when they go to the tavern, like where they're dancing, whenever they come together, they start having memories, and they start like remembering bits and pieces in story. And that's kind of like a representation of us coming as a community and writing the backstory together. But they also decide to party every time, and so they don't actually write anything down. And and the next morning they're like, oh crap, we should have. Anyway, that's the only story we've written so far. Yeah, and then the other unique thing is like we have thousands of traits. A lot of projects come on and say we have 170 traits. That's great. I mean, that's it's fantastic. We have thousands. So the uniqueness of each piece will be very I don't know how to say it, very unique. It's actually to the point where one of the things we're maybe struggling with, or it's maybe a feature, I don't know if it's a feature or a bug, is like how to define rarities. I think it'll be more desirable traits, but because every single bizarre is going to be so unique, if they're more alike in a way, I think it's going to be more about aesthetics, which is very subjective. I mean, we do have a rarity table, and we'll define some things, but it's like, which ones do you pick? Like, there's just so many traits. Like, do you like this kind of head mask? I don't know. Should this be rare? And they're so colorful too that it's hard for us to go with like golden or something, which is common in some other collections. But anyway, that's what we're working on. I don't want to talk too much about it. But the idea behind it is just to like, we really like what Apes are doing in several other collections, but we also were kind of upset by the cash grabs that were happening. And we started seeing roadmaps kind of dwindle down to almost like a to-do list on day one, right? Like you look at the roadmap and it's like, okay, 20% sellout, like we started Discord or something, 50% sellout, we donate 1% to charity or whatever percentage. I'm like, this is not a roadmap. This is just a button that you push on a certain, if this and that kind of thing. Like the roadmap is the idea for how this evolves and the bigger story you're writing, your vision. And so many of them now just don't have that. And we were like, why don't we just try to maybe create that? And yeah, so the fun plus that are hopefully enough to attract some people.
Dude, it seems like a cool project. It seems different, and different is good, especially if it's high effort. If it's different and it's low effort, then that's probably going to suck. But, considering this is high effort, I think people can get behind it.
Yeah, we were trying to put in, the models themselves are not that much effort for us, but it's the creation of the world, the community, the vision, the planning, and both Luke and I currently have full-time jobs, so it's a bit of a challenge, but yeah, we're excited to spend the next year working in this. The thing is too, like they're all one other thing that I thought is interesting is like, what if you get your angle wrong on a profile picture or whatever? So the fact that they're like full Unity, character models, like we can, like I said, we'll have a photo studio where you can just take any pose, any picture you want for it. And that's another interesting thing. So some of them are going to be like, whether they're jumping, arms up, some of them are going to be in a fighting position or crying, yelling. There'll be some features you cannot change because those are like the generated traits. But I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's cool.
One of the things, like it was a Passover comment, but it's like an important thing that I think you said. Like you're encouraging the community because it's Unity based. Like if there could also be like you talked about Minecraft, Pio talked about MMOs, but like the mini game component, like let's say like someone loved Mario Party and now they're learning Unity, like they could hypothetically like go out and start learning, and like if the community votes on it or whatever, like you could now essentially start scaling into this your own metaverse as the community embraces these types of things. Is that what your vision is as well?
Yeah. So day one, you get the full 3D character, full commercial rights. We do not care what you do with it in any form. Just don't try to change it in a way that looks like the other character and infringe on someone else's rights. Would be lovely. So people can put them in their own games. They can pull together and say, here's the 12 of us. We're gonna make maybe, like you said, Mario Kart, and whoever wants to bring their character in will accept like maybe some voting system and say, hey, let's have 20, 30 different character choices, and then they split revenues between them all, maybe based on how frequent each is used in the game or something. Great, fantastic. Or we would love to then be working with our community members to create, as we create those mini games, every time we use their stuff, we want them to get paid if we commercialize it anyway. Like, I mean, obviously, Luke and I need some money to keep this going and keep the flames going and invest. But we really, I don't know. I mean, it may sound like self-aggrandizing, because there are other projects that are really doing the same thing, and it's fantastic. We're just trying to be another project that kind of focuses on not just money. Yeah, and just, I don't know, fixing some of the things. I think like every project, what I've seen is like Punk set a certain bar, and then Ape set a bar, and we keep going. And every new collection that has this like authentic vision behind them, they're gonna set a higher bar, which lifts the entire industry, right? Because then once people get used to that, it's hard for any new project to like go through that doesn't, at least in some way, resembles it. One of the things we notice, for example, is that mods of Discords do not get paid. So they sometimes get a free mint. Sometimes they don't even get a free mint. Sometimes they don't even get a reserved place in minting, right? I mean, that's, I think, is going away now because it's become sort of like WTF. We not only pay our mods, we pay them proportional to the sellout. So the more we sell, the better money they make. And there's a bonus structure, and it's transparent in our Discord. We actually put it for public to see. And of course, we give them free mints, and of course, we reserve the minting place. It's wild to me that creators of collections make so much money and do not reward their staff in even the basic way, you know. So anyway, so I think there's just a lot, because it's so new, this whole thing. So a lot of standards have to be set, and whether, I don't know, I hope we succeed just for that in a way, but we'll see.
It's a cool project, man. And if I got in, I'd want this guy with the eagle, like, head or whatever.
You want the eagle hat? Sure. And the flaming wings.
It's pretty sick, man. No, and I love what you're doing. Like that comment that you just made about, the mods and paying mods. This is something that Malachi and I are experiencing now, because we're trying to figure out how to properly structure that. And Discord moderation is something like, if you run a Discord and you have over 500 people in your Discord, then you know exactly what we're talking about, where you really do actually need Discord moderation. And as we talk to different people that do that job in different Discords, it's becoming pretty apparent that no one's like getting paid for the most part, but it sounds like things are changing. So that's just really great to hear that you have that built out structure. It sounds like a lot of thought was put into it. There's incentives. It's based on performance, and the better it performs, the more reward there is for the mod. So that's fantastic, man.
Cool. I'm glad you like it. How many bazaars are you going to mint?
Oh, I'm minting 150, man.
Right. Well, actually, we're trying to, so this is not necessarily related, but this whole minting and gas wars is another thing that we want to actually kill in its sleep, ideally. I know it sounds rough, but like, I hate gas wars. I think they're very unnecessary. I understand how blockchain works. I understand that when there's high demand, there is no way around it, but there's actually a way around it. So one, one thing we'll do is we will not verify a contract before minting. And I know it's controversial to some people, but you have to work with the limitations of technology you have at hand. And what happens when you verify the contract is that you can then call it directly from Etherscan, right? Or whatever bot software you have. So that allows the whales and people have privileged access to mint a lot from different wallets automatically and easily. And that creates extreme gas spikes. So we will verify the contract immediately after minting. But prior to that, cannot do that just because it's the current limitation. Like, if you have to pick between people losing their money to gas and people thinking maybe it's a suspicious contract, like, what's the lesser of the two evils? And we are very much at a point where we don't want for people to happen to them what happened with Stoner Cats, or I'm sure a lot of people had felt reactions with Animeta's, and it's not Animeta's fault, but we're saying, like, can we figure out a way? Can somebody be the first to solve this problem? And then, so once you solve on the contract side, then you only need to solve on the client side. And the client side, as a software engineer, what's also like a thing that we hope to change is is to add a queuing system. I really don't understand why you're allowing 1 million people, 1,000 people, whatever, to click the button at the same time, and then you kind of shrug and say, yeah, hi guys, sorry. It's like, well, yeah, everybody kind of gets the fair opportunity, but you know that it's a gamble, right? Whoever you put a number of guesses, and if you didn't guess it right, you're just going to lose. So it's not fair in that sense. It's kind of fair, I guess, but it's just stupid. So the combination of queuing system and the contract not being verified until right after mint, which, by the way, a lot of the collections people know about that and they bought in, they don't have verified contracts. Some of them even till this day, like Mad Cat Militia, or a lot of them have verified right after, even the big known ones. So I don't think it's really a problem, but if hopefully we can solve the gas problem as well. And if we do that, then maybe others will, like, it'll kind of become like, if I could have a smooth experience with this collection, why can't I have it with the next collection? So what I'm saying, guys, you need to help us to get to the point where we have 10,000 people wanting to buy at the same time, and they still have a smooth experience, and that will change the industry forever as far as gas wars.
Well,
it seems like you're on the right track.
Yeah, some of the good points is like you're out here in front of it, right? A lot of the projects are completely anonymous. There was an example yesterday where 2 projects launched at the same time, both of them basically copying Cool Cats and Apes. The websites were exactly the same except for like the art, but the CSS files were the exact same, and the founders were the exact same names on both projects, and they were all anonymous. And so I think like it's you either build trust through the contract, or you can build trust by taking a risk and coming out and putting your face to it. With Top Dog Beach Club did that well, and so I think people are going to have more faith in you because you're not surprising anyone, and you're coming out ahead of it. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, the rug pull is coming. So it's not going to be a surprise.
You guys
That's why I'm moving to Korea, guys. Stay. It's a rug pull, and I'm out of here. Good luck.
How sketchy can Sasha get? He's going to Korea. He's going to rug pull, but then again, he's being upfront about it. So you can't really
selling this as like, this is going to break all the new standards. This is going to be it's my first project, but it's going to be the best in NFT. Guys, trust me. See you in Korea.
Well, when is this project going to drop? When can people mint this?
Great question. So still a lot of work to do. We're finishing the website, hopefully a beta website by the end of the weekend, or like next week sometime, and then we'll give it another week or two to pick up steam. So kind of the boring answer is when it's ready, but probably in 2 to 3 weeks. We really hope to.
Very soon.
I mean, we could mint it today, the characters, but it's the experience and the stuff around it that, like, just the technical experience of it is what we're trying to do it right. Like, we might fail, but we really don't want to just build a website with a mint button. We don't do any paid promos, so we don't want to pay influencers just to boost our numbers, get people super excited, and then hey, good luck with the gas wars. Hey, we got our 10,000 whatever ETH for 10,000 mints, and then do like the sorry apologetic announcements, and kind of maybe take it from there. I mean, listen, I get it. It's like we all learning, and I think there has been some projects that were hard to mint, but had the best intentions in mind, and they have great founders, and they're working to fix things and go through it. But at this point, we've all seen that, and so if new projects drop that do not address these issues, it's hard to then blame the blockchain, or like, at which point do we start taking responsibility and putting actual development effort into this before instead of saying like, no, we got to be quick to market, right? Like, if you're saying quick to market, you don't want to miss the boat, like, it's selfish. I mean, you just don't want to admit to it. So I don't know. Basically, we're being idealistic, which is probably why we'll fail, but at least we're gonna have a go at it. Okay. You should have fucking made some 3D pickles.
Well, you said this off air, and we wish that you said it on air, but you were talking about how basically what you're saying is that the market is going to respond to a project. The market
Yeah,
sniffs out. You compared it to a virus, which was a brilliant comparison. The market is almost like the antibodies in the sense that if something comes out that's an improper drop or an improper project, the market sniffs that out. It just happens, right? The community, the market, whatever you want to call it, and then the market is going to attack, and that's to actually preserve the integrity of the space, of the community, of the market. So I think that when you approach a drop in the way that you are doing with this one, or the way that you're talking about doing with this one, that's preserving the integrity of the market. So however things go, as long as there's that transparency, that being upfront, that level of communication, that ownership, then things are going to turn out okay. Whether or not it sells out in 20 minutes, who knows? But at least you won't have a debacle on your hands after the fact, the way that Stoner Cats did. And if you want to touch on that a little bit, I know you've been excited to talk about it. I'm game. Let's go.
you just drama. Yeah, after Stoner Cats happened, I was talking to people about it, and I said, I'm not sure Ashton even knows what happened, right? And the people who managed the project, even though it was really strange to me, because they have, at least I don't know them in person, but on paper, if they are the people they say they are, they have great pedigree, right? I think Mac or Mike, whoever has like co-founder of Kitties, CryptoKitties, and then co-founder of Dapper Labs. But then the contract itself was a copy pasta of another project. And I'm like, somebody who's been in the space for years has trouble accessing engineering talent and writing a contract. Like, that doesn't add up whatsoever in my mind. He should have huge network of people to work with who would have been happy to jump on this because it's such a high profile project. So why in the world did they have to literally copy paste another contract that resulted in issues? And then also, if you have the team who's really that veteran, they would understand the community, right? They understand what matters. They understand how to drop, how to communicate. They know the gas wars. They know how to reduce them. So that to me was actually the strangest thing. And I think all of that was managed like internally. And I don't think Ashton and Mila, for example, even knew what happened until after the explosion happened and people became really angry. So I wouldn't, I know some people go after Ashton, and I wouldn't, because he's the owner / high level manager. He outsourced a lot of the work, as you would when you're in his position. But yeah, it was a big example of a foreign body coming into the system and the system protecting itself against this sort of what looked like, and to me it still looks like a cash grab, to be honest. I think the idea is great, but I don't know. I have a lot of confusing feelings. Like, what I really don't like currently still is that they claim to be the first to this idea. When you have dad heads who are making animated series, when you have gutter cats who are making animated series, when you have my friend Captain James, for example, has used NFTs to raise for a documentary that he's making. You have Punk Comics to, and here they are coming in like these, the two Hollywood celebrities saying, hey, we're going to use NFTs to create a cartoon. It's never happened before. It's the first time ever. It's going to revolutionize things. And I'm like, have you guys been sleeping on what's happening? That part, I think, is disingenuous and is like appropriating culture, right? And I think that was like the first strike. And then, of course, a super failed drop, badly written contract that literally stole people's money in a way, or like let the money seep out to the miners. Was the second strike. And then the handling of the situation after was, for me, the third strike, where a lot of people got banned or muted, who was simply breaking up these issues in a civilized manner, and then them shrugging off the responsibility. And basically, at the end, they had to refund because they had no choice. Like, the community come to the point where I don't think it was out of the goodness of their hearts. It was just like, okay, this project is done for unless we do something. I know there's still fans of it and supporters, and it's great. I mean, I love the idea in general. I just wish, I personally do wish, I don't know. I don't feel genuine appreciation of the community from this project right now. Another interesting thing that I think is kind of, that is the community will correct, is the making the cartoon itself. First of all, the quality is okay. It's mediocre quality in terms of production, especially the sound of it. Not something I would expect from tier A celebrities or people who've been in the business. So it's kind of strange. The duration is 6 minutes per episode, and so people paid $800 for the NFT itself plus gas. So on average, like $1,000 to $1,100 for 6 minutes per episode. That's 36 minutes total. That's about $25 to $30 per minute. Okay, per minute. So if you think your theater ticket, if you think paying $20 to go see, Marvel, Avengers, whatever in the theater is a lot, like that's for an hour and a half or 2 hours here, and for a great experience, for a super polished product that took hundreds of millions to create. Here you're paying $25 a minute for an average cartoon. It's and the irony of the whole thing is that one of the first lines in the cartoon in the pilot episode is that material things are just a concept of society or something anyway, right? That's what the grandma says after the delivery van hits her mailbox. She's like, don't worry about it, material possessions are just a concept or whatever. And I'm like, you just took so much money from people, and now you're making fun of material possessions. It's like, yeah, for those people that just lost their money, it is now a concept. Correct. They had the money. It was real, and now it's just a concept. It's like, it was so tone deaf that so anyway, I wish them the best. I hope it was, there's always like these lessons, and like you mentioned with the virus, I think the community is now stronger from it. Less, I think, acceptance, and as long as these kind of events don't break the community, the original spirit, it'll only make the organism better. Like Blaze Cat, I don't know if you're looking at these stoner cats. These are stoner cats. So there was a collection called Blaze Cats that was created in protest that I aped into. And
in 24 hours, right? It was literally
it lasted 24 hours.
24, 48 hours.
Like, listen, this is fine, but like this is not this is super easy to create, right? Like the collection itself is nothing. So because of that, like people, you want this whole, everything around it is really where the value is. The utility, the community experience, and everything around it failed. The floor, is this Blaze Cats? Yeah. And so what I hope Blaze Cats will do, by the way, which I don't think they're doing, is like, I suggest is like, why don't you guys start creating your own cartoon? Like, why don't we as a community literally create our own cartoon and show that we can do just as good, if not better, for almost no money? And we can invite the leaders of the NFT community to be the voiceovers, right? Like the ape creators, the punk creators, whoever wants to be there, and whoever is funny and has the right. Like this is I'm nothing against people coming in from outside and doing the thing. I think it's great, but one of the things that NFT is about and decentralization is about is this very idea that you no longer need these authority figures to show us how it's done, because we could just literally, like you and I here, we just come together and create it. And a lot of us are experts in certain fields. And when we band together, we can create fantastic products, just split the profits, and everybody makes more. And the outcome is great, and it's more fun. This whole idea of a top-down creation is what we are trying to get rid of here. So anyway, to me, that's what kind of Starcast was an interesting little episode in that previous culture clashing with the current culture, and we'll see where it goes. But I think the decentralized nature will win, and the current community will just move on. As this is not, I don't know, this is not very relevant long term.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many different things can be talked about. Like, we covered so many things, like the protest by Blazed Cats, and now that we're talking about it, I'm looking at them. I might have to get a Blazed Cat to join the protest.
Blaze it up.
But like, what the fact that they made this in 24 to 48 hours, and that was them saying, like, see, like, people do know how to do this 100% right, and no, it doesn't take a month, it doesn't take weeks, you can do it in 48 hours.
Pio, not to interrupt, but 100% of their secondary sales go to charity. And
Unreal.
25% of initial sales went to charity. The charity itself posted the big thank you on Twitter, which was another little thing, because like with Stoner Cats, they said 1% goes to charity, which to me is such a token move. You know, it's like you're charging 3 times more than any other NFT, 4 times more than normal NFT drops charge, and you're only giving 1% to charity. Like, why even include that? Like, get out of here. You know what I mean? There's so many disrespectful pieces in the whole project all around. And I know I don't want to be negative about it, but like at which point do we draw the line and say like this has to be fixed? Like at which point is it just kind of a pretense or putting up a screen just good enough for people to buy? You know what I mean? Like, if you care about charity, like, why not give 10%? You just raised 8 million, for God's sakes. Like, how much money do you need to make a 6-minute cartoon? I know
they weren't hurting before.
A lot cheaper for much better quality. Like, I really don't. It's not expensive. That expensive. It doesn't matter if it's Mila or neighbor next door. The illustrators cost a certain amount of money, and they get paid a certain amount of money. They'll accept, and they're making wonderful products. Like, why is this costing so much? You know,
straight up.
And nothing's even gold in there. There's nothing gold. There's no zombie. There's no like traits that we all want to accept. No aliens. What's going on?
What's going on, guys? No laser eyes. No BTC laser eyes, Sasha. What the fuck?
You got me going, man. We got to talk about something else before it's too late.
Well, I think so we're right at an hour. I think it's clear that, dude, Sasha, we could talk to you for 4 hours, man. I hope that we can get you on again. I think Mal's got to go so we can wrap this one. And next time we'll do another Sasha hour and we could talk about BTC, because I'm sure that's a can of worms. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I'd love to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
But dude,
I'd love to.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on, man. This kicked ass, and it was just a lot of fun.
It was lovely meeting you guys. Look forward to the next one. Bye.